Hi everybody, welcome to our panel, The Year of the Girl. Hopefully you're in the right place, and if you're not, you should stay in because it's going to be great. My name is Kailee Brown, and I will be moderating this panel. So I'm going to introduce myself, and then we'll go down the line, and we'll each introduce ourselves. So like I said, I'm Kailee Brown. I'm a filmmaker and an artist. I'm just based out here in Salt Lake City. Most recently and prominently, my favorite thing I've done is that I was a technical director for Apple Juice Productions, with which everybody here has kind of been involved with. And yeah, I've done cinematography and editing. I love working in film, it's so fun. I also love doing anything crafty or creative, and I'm very excited about this panel because I am a huge girly girl, so I'm very much in the right place, I feel, and I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So, Mary, you can go next.
Okay, so I'm Mary Blanchard. Now, at this phase in my life, I'm a stay-at-home mom. But prior to that, I graduated with a degree in broadcast journalism and worked at KUTV for a few years as a web producer. I started and ran a BYU sports vlog for more than 100 episodes to give a female perspective on BYU basketball and football. So I'm kind of the sports voice on the panel, if you will. And I am, chronically online, a verified Swiftie, and I saw Barbie 6 times, so that's my qualifications.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Kayen. I love cinema. I've studied cinema, led to my love of sound design. So I have a degree in audio engineering with an emphasis in sound for film and TV. I love pop culture. I'm super into it, super relevant, and as a big sister of 4 little sisters, we all do it together, which is really fun. And then I now work in the news and broadcast industry too with Mary. I work at KSL, assignment editor, and yeah, that's about it. That's me.
Such a great panel. I'm really excited. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm Amanda Taylor. I'm a writer and an actress. I've written about pop culture as a journalist both in Utah for KSL, among other places, and Los Angeles, where I currently live. I've done that for about a decade. I'm also the oldest daughter of a woman who is a mom, and I have 2 sisters, many best female friends, and the film production company that Kailee mentioned, Apple Juice Productions, that we've all worked with, is dedicated to telling female stories with women behind the scenes working on production. So, let's go. You're the girl.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so my first question is I wanted us to all talk about our favorite thing that we've recently participated in like the past year that made us, I guess, feel like a girl. Amanda, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I have kind of a unique perspective. I'm planning a wedding, and I get married in 2 weeks.
Yay!
Thank you. But I've gotten to do all this sort of girly bride stuff that I was kind of like, ew, I'm a feminist, but getting together with like all my girlfriends and having like a bachelorette party and just being able to like, I don't know, gather a bunch of girls to be like, do we like these earrings? Has been really fun and like girly, and I think a special kind of unique experience in this year of the girl.
Yes, I love that. Kayen, go ahead.
I too am not the traditional girly girl, love horror, love everything black, that kind of thing. But when my friends threw a Bridgerton season 3 watch party, I caught myself up. I watched Queen Charlotte, everything. We had little finger food sandwiches, we had lace everything, we had the music.
Up?
Yes.
Iconic.
It was fun. Yeah, and that was just fun. It's not normally my kind of show, but watching it with everyone was super fun. The girlhood, just hanging out with your girls is just everything. It was so fun.
That's kind of the best.
And it was a good show. I ended up really liking it.
No.
That's amazing. Like I said, I saw Barbie 6 times. So going to that film, like opening weekend, was so fun, and I feel like so validating. And going there and dressing up cute with my girlfriends and seeing everyone dressed up in line for popcorn and everyone complimenting each other's outfits, that was amazing. And then in between that, before the Eras tour was streaming, at the little clubhouse where I live, me and my best friend threw an Eras watch party, and we had people bring $1 and bring a treat, and we just sang and danced. And then when it came out to the theater, we went again and sang and danced. So I would say that, yeah, Barbie and the Eras tour, renting it, and the film were probably my top 2 favorite things from the past year.
Yeah, I agree with those. I think I have like 2. So one of mine, I do theater in the community, like musical theater, and I was recently in a production of Beauty and the Beast. And one of just a great moment that we had was backstage, like when we were getting ready for the show, like we had a girls' dressing room, but it was like really small, so we like all squished in there. But it was so fun because everybody would come in beforehand and we'd all be like doing our makeup, and one day one of the girls was like, guys, this is girlhood, and we were like, you're so right. It was so cute, and I just feel like those were the best like bonding moments. So I just love those like fun moments where everybody just like, where the girls just get together and have fun. And my other one is just, I started listening to Chapel Roan in January, and just I've never felt more like a woman since listening to Chapel Roan. So I just love her and love her music. So yeah, that's been fun. So we're gonna start off talking about Barbie and the Eras tour, because that's kind of what spurred all of this off. So I don't know. Let's talk about Barbie first. Mary, you saw it 6 times. So
do you want me to just recite
just recite that monologue word for word right now.
I know. I wish I had. You'd think I would have it memorized, but I don't even know where. Amanda, you start with Barbie. I don't know where to start with Barbie.
I've been nominated to start with Barbie. We have Barbies here presently with us.
I know, we
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. I just, I don't even know where to start either, just because it was such a phenomenon, and I think it was like, I read an article in Forbes, like, how did this happen? It was like, well, you gave us an opportunity to gather, dress up in costumes, and be nice to each other. It's like our favorite thing to do. And the film itself, like, the fact that it exists and the story that it's telling, like, is just such a gift, I think, because it's of course not just like empowering to women, but it's also empowering to like the male audience who is participating in this too. And I saw plenty of Kens on Barbie weekend. Like, it was not just like I left him at home. Everyone was engaging with it and like going to see the film, which was really cool. Greta Gerwig is like a longtime favorite, so I think I had like the ultimate amount of faith, and I just giggled my way through the whole first screening. I was just like, she's doing it. The jokes, the costumes, every single moment that just felt so, like that monologue, like I was so seen. And I realized, I don't remember what screening it was, but I was like, this movie isn't even for kids. Like, this is for moms. This movie is for people who like lived through something and have had like these really human experiences that are not always fun, but it was just like, it was such a gift again to like the girls, but it was really for the women, right? I mean, if we're gonna like make a distinction, we call it Year of the Girl, but it was really something that the adults were participating in.
Yeah, more than anyone, for sure. Yeah, I loved Barbie. Just I think it was so cool because all of us like have grown up with Barbies, right? Like, Barbies have been around since the 50s, so like our moms grew up with Barbies, we grew up with Barbies, and people's kids are growing up with Barbies. So it was like something where like we were all able to like come together and be like, okay, like this is ours, like we're ready to take this on. And I agree, yeah, there were so many Kens. I went with like a bunch of guys too, like in our group that went and saw it, and I loved how much we just like, everybody was able to like come together. Like you said, give us a reason to dress up, and we're gonna do it and go hard.
I just also like how we reclaimed Barbie, right? Because I feel like
that's true.
We faced this hard thing. Well, okay, I shouldn't say we, because I'm old. I like to think that I'm young, but I think I'm older than a lot of you. Not you. Sorry.
We'll do an age lineup.
No, you don't ask. Duh, it's rude. So anyway, I mean, at least me growing up playing with Barbies and then getting a little older and being like, oh, there's some cringy things about Barbie, and why doesn't she look like me, and et cetera, and et cetera. Totally. So seeing that film and having the group of the teenagers, it is one of my favorite scenes when Barbie approaches them at lunch and they call her a fascist. And she's like, I don't control the railway. It's so good, but I'm really glad that they didn't shy away from that, and I thought it was so fun and so important, at least for me as an older woman, to be like, oh, it's okay that I liked this and that it wasn't perfect. And I thought the movie did a great job with that.
Yes.
And like playing off of that, like it had like that hint of nostalgia with it, where like we all grew up with it. Like we all know Barbie Fairytopia, we all know Barbie Rapunzel. Like we watched those movies, you know. And it didn't matter what kind of girl you were, you watched them. I watched them. But then it was a fun time to get together. I went with a group of about. I counted. I looked up the picture. There's like 18 of us.
That's
so fun.
And it was
You might win.
an event.
Yeah,
Like it was
I
just
would.
an event, which I feel like there's not a lot of fun opportunities like that. Like so, like Amanda said, like it just gave you a reason to dress up. Everyone wants to dress up. That's why everyone's here today, you know. And it was super fun, and everyone like dressed up as their profession. So like I went as reporter Barbie. I met with health
That's so
Barbie.
cute.
There was science Barbie, and Kens. There were tons of Kens too, and it was just a fun time, and everyone was talking to everyone. We were meeting people at the theater. We went to the party at the Gateway, so there was like all the shops were like had Barbie stuff. They were like, come in,
Cute.
come take pictures with our Barbie stuff, and like it just felt like a community event too, which was also really fun. Not just like a personal friend thing. It was for like everyone, kind of like you said.
I totally agree. Yeah, it was just so fun to be able to like get together with everybody. And like, just to piggyback off of that, I had friends all over the country who were seeing it, and I just said, send me all your Barbie pictures. And I got this lot of people in pink clothes. I changed everyone's contact photos to be Barbies.
You did.
Because I was like, we're literally all doing this. Like, it was so community-based, and that's pretty rare.
I think the other thing that was really cool about it too is that it happened for like a month. Like I saw Barbie, I think maybe
Longer,
3 times
yeah.
in the theater. Like it was happening a lot, and every time I went to the theater, people were dressed up still. Like there was still a sea of pink, like a month after the movie
Yeah,
had come
it
out.
wasn't
So
just
it wasn't
opening
like an
weekend.
opening weekend thing. Like it was like, no, we're gonna keep doing this. Like
Yeah.
So I thought that was so fun.
We're still.
Yeah, we're still
Yeah.
doing it.
But I'm like,
Never
a
ends.
community thing, that I feel like that's the thing with the Eras Tour too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, do we want to talk about the
I do. I want
Let's hear
to.
it.
But like I said, I think it's the same thing. It's that sense of community, right? So you show up and you're one of how many 30,000 whatever people going to a
70,000.
stadium. Yeah, I'm like that seems low. Going to this event, but like you're not alone. Like you could go by yourself and have like best friends by the end of the night. My sister, it's okay, we can all hate my sister because she's been twice to the Eras Tour. I've been
So has
0
Kailee.
times.
Yeah, sorry.
Also hate Kailee. Share the love. So she went in Milwaukee. She went in London on the last night in London.
fun.
So like I said, we can hate
So,
her.
like,
It's
the
okay. She went to the concert. But she said like her and her girlfriend that went, they made friends. Like they went out to eat with some of them. Like
So cute.
it's a community thing. And it's way funny. I tease her. Because after she went in London, she posted about going, and it was like a coming out post as a Swiftie, because she is like not like me. She's 5 years older than me, and she's not like as much of a part of the everything is good and acceptable culture and the fangirl culture. So she was like, I finally can say that I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan and I wanted to go in London. And I'm like, this tour has given you the courage to do that, and I thought it was really, really cute. Go big sister. She's growing up,
That's
right?
beautiful. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I was lucky enough to go twice. I wasn't gonna say that.
Which ones did you go to?
I went to Denver and LA. So yeah, it was really fun.
Did you make friends?
I did. Well, like, yeah, I made friends. I connected with a lot of people. My favorite thing about the Eras Tour was that it was like a very long-lasting event. So like on TikTok leading up, everyone was posting about like making bracelets and making outfits and stuff. And so before, like 9 months before this event is even happening, everyone is preparing so hard. Like
It's like having a baby.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's so cute. But it may
No,
be a
I was
little,
gonna say better.
maybe a
Different,
little more
not better.
exciting. Yeah, and then we got there. I got to go with my mom and my sister, which was super fun and just like really special. My sister is a huge Swiftie, so she especially like really loved it. And yeah, I feel like the connection was so cool with just because everyone was dressed up, you're complimenting each other, you're talking to each other, it creates conversation topics.
Scream singing
And
all
then,
the lyrics
yeah,
together.
those lyrics. And the bracelets. The bracelets was a really cool, I think, rebirth or just birth from the Eras Tour that came that literally one line in a song says make the friendship bracelets, and then everyone's like, okay, we will do it.
Understood the assignment.
And I just love that because that, like, Taylor Swift wrote that song, but like that was born from from womanhood, from girlhood, like women just decided, yeah, we want to do this. Like we want to make a way to like connect with people and share with people. And I thought that was so cool, and it's still happening now. We have friendship bracelets to trade at the end, so stay up. So yeah, I don't know if you guys want to.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to go, but through all of my girlfriends, I felt like I went anyway because they relayed everything.
The Instagram stories.
Yes, between the Instagram stories, the pictures, and then just them relaying like song by song. So I felt like I was a part of it, even though I didn't get to go, which was still kind of fun.
That's so fun. Yeah, I love that.
Everyone's looking at me. I'm not a Swiftie, but I love that Taylor Swift connects me to my girly girlfriends. Like, I know everything about Taylor Swift.
You do.
As not a fan.
As a non-Swiftie, we talk about Taylor Swift a lot. So she just brings people together like that.
I'm still part of it.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the other things that we've seen that have given us, that have come from the Year of the Girl? What are some of your other favorite things that have come from this? Or people, or, I don't know, events? Kayen, do you have any thoughts here?
I do. I'm just pulling it up.
Oh, you're good.
I was thinking about this, and one of my favorite things, which is personal to me, is I like to dub it Year of the Gore Girl.
Ooh,
because the female-made movies, like scary movies, thrillers, gory, kind of stuff, it's on the rise. There are so many. I have a list.
Oh, I want to hear it so
yeah, there were so many because there was like Lisa Frankenstein,
Oh, yeah.
which was written and directed by a girl. We have Love Lies Bleeding, written and directed by a girl. First Omen, which like really fun horror movie, prequel, directed and partially written, or co-written I should say, by a female. We had the new Tarot movie, which is like super fun, kind of campy, but super fun. Blink Twice, the new one with Channing Tatum, that's written and directed by a female. We had the Haunted Mansion remake from last year, that was written by a female. Cocaine Bear, directed by a female. Like, and what's currently out right now is Agatha All Along. So I don't know if you guys are into that. I haven't watched the third episode, but I've watched the first two, and
like
written and directed by, no spoilers, but written and directed by a female. And there's a local writer, actually, his name's Patrick Beatty, with Channel 4. He's a movie critic, and he has his own little segment, and he talked to the writer and director of Agatha All Along, and it was really good. And she had like these great statements of like, it's so fun, like as a female, to write a female character, and like the power that they have as witches, and just having fun with it. So like, it's really cool. There's like so many, I just feel like that's on the rise. Like, you don't have to only wear pink. You can also make bloody, scary movies.
Yeah, we're getting a resurgence of not just like, you can be the girl that you want to be.
Yeah.
Well,
but you're still a
Chappell
girl.
Roan is a girly girl, but she's like also a drag
different.
queen.
She's
Like
totally
she's
a
not
different
Barbie.
vibe.
So
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
Kayen,
just showed me.
you're making me think too of, I mean, you mentioned Bridgerton already, so I do want to just like touch on the sort of literature side of this conversation. I know a ton of women right now that are writing the most grotesque, disgusting, foul body horror, like in novel form. Like, these women are twisted. And they're doing great work, and it's incredibly like smart and weird, and you know, they have a different and very specific perspective. I'll name drop a few of those people here. CJ Lee, look her up. Liz Kieran is also writing cool stuff. Rachel Harrison is doing amazing work, and they're all like coming from this really female perspective. All of the things they're addressing in their stories are like really a female experience only situation. So horror is just popping off, especially when it comes to female voices, which is like the best possible case scenario. As we have long had a final girl, it's nice to have a woman write a final girl. But also like in the romanticy space, which is like a whole other like panel maybe that we'll do another time. If you're like a Court of Thorns and Roses fan, or any of the various
Rebecca Yarrow's
Thank you.
Queen.
I was like, what's the dragon? There's just so much of that like currently sort of in the conversation and happening, and not just in the conversation, but like dominating the conversation, making a ton of money. Everyone's like, what is that? Why does every girl read that book? And it's like, you've all read enter male book here. So I think, you know, there's been sort of this moment, a movement in general where they're like, wait, do females let things make money? Can we get more money out of you guys? And we're like, yes.
Let us
Yes,
spend.
please.
Yeah, Yes. Mary, what are your favorite things?
As the self-proclaimed sports voice on the panel, I just had to shout out to, first of all, Team USA, who they were so fun to talk about all summer, and they performed so well in the Olympics.
Seriously.
And Caitlin Clark also.
Yes.
So she just brought literally unheard of viewership to women's college basketball. Like, people that don't like sports, period, knew who she was and knew who she played for and knew what she was doing. And she just brought a ton of deserved attention to women's basketball. And a lot of people started following her. So for me, that's kind of roped in with all of that Year of the Girl stuff, is that Olympic team and Caitlin Clark.
Oh yeah, like I didn't know who Caitlin Clark was. Well, yeah, I didn't watch sports at all, and then I watched Caitlin Clark and was like, women's sports are amazing.
You're like, go girls!
Let's go.
Basketball is my favorite.
Yeah, seriously.
I love it though, because it's like that thing where you're like, oh, you're mad at her, I'm mad at her too.
Yeah.
But it's like across the world, we're like, oh, we're all doing this. Me too.
Yeah, people turn it on just to see like what people were talking about, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, as someone who never watches sports, I started hearing about Caitlin Clark and like tuning into her stuff, and I was like, this is so. I literally went into a restaurant with my family one day, and they had her game on the screen, and I was like, Caitlin Clark. What is happening? And I'm like, this is a basketball game. Like, I know. But it's so fun. At Sundance too this year, they premiered a documentary about Sue Bird, who is a female basketball player, and she just retired from the Seattle basketball team, and that was also really cool. And I think there's just things like that happening that are making people a lot more open to wanting to like, you know, watch sports or see sports and being like, oh, this like could be cool. Like I can be interested in this, and it's not, I don't know. It's not something that's lame or
no.
And I feel like it's so interesting because in college I feel like the conversation that I was saying too was really like women's sports are lame. Like nobody goes to see the women's sports.
It's
and
true.
And it's really unfortunate, and I'm like glad that I have come from that. But you know, it's hard.
But that tide is turning because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and anyway. But it's so cool to see that, and it's like, are things like Barbie and the Eras Tour, like are they spurring on that turning of the tide?
Totally. Yeah. Some of my favorite stuff that's come from like specifically in music, I think it's really cool because Sabrina Carpenter opened for Taylor Swift, and now she's huge. Chaperone opened for Olivia Rodrigo, and she's huge. So like I love that we have women supporting women and like creating opportunities for them, and they're able to like get much bigger and get their fan base. Actually, Amanda sent me a podcast recently, and they were talking about the rise of sapphic pop, and they were talking about how in the 90s, if there was like a female artist, they would always have men open for them because
they already had a girl.
Because they already had a girl, and they were like, there
girl quota filled.
Yeah, there can only be room for one girl, so we can't like have another girl open for us because God forbid they're gonna take away all our viewership or like listenership or whatever. And like that's obviously like becoming so much less of the case now, and we can see that that's simply not true. And like the top artists right now are pretty much all women, and I think there's like a prediction that like for best new artist or something at the Grammys, I think it's going to be all girls, which is really cool. So
yeah, I think
also,
so.
the lineup for openers for the Eras Tour was insane.
Yeah,
it was
just
really so good. And they picked like artists of like kind of slightly different genres, you know, had a little more indie or a little more acoustic over here, and it was just, that was also really fun to see because I knew all those people really well, so like that was just fun to like include different people.
Yeah, she also had a ton of like female dancers on that tour, which is so fun to see because I like to dance, and so it was really cool. I feel like a lot of times I'm a big like Carrie Underwood fan, so I'll go to hers, but like in the country world it's very much like there's the one girl, and so she has like a lot of men in her stuff, and she's like one girl in her band. And it was really refreshing to go to a tour and be like, wow, look at all these girls on the stage. Like this is what I want to see. Like this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, I don't want to get us off track at all, but I do want to point out this like one girl thing.
Please.
And just say that like I'm looking around, I'm seeing we're all sort of, what is that? Growing up, like watching anything, it was like we're at a con, so it's Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. It was like, here's the one girl. And it was always like, that's my favorite, and that's the one I identify with. A lot of times she had brown hair, thank goodness. But it was like, there was no representation. There was one girl. Like, why do we all love Hermione? Because there was one girl. That's the majority of it.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because I look around here and I look around my life and I have never once been in a one-girl situation ever. Like, we go to the bathroom in pairs. We do everything in groups because we like that. And so I just have always found that phenomenon so strange. And I'm glad to see it's going away.
I am glad to see it's
me
going
too.
away too.
Yeah. Okay, what is it about being girls that makes us want to celebrate it and dress up? And like, why do we think it's happening now?
Mary, do you want to say? Mary looks
Well,
like she wants to talk.
I had a really interesting conversation about this with my sister yesterday because I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, I've been thinking about this in preparation for the panel, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, it is happening, but why? And my sister, the one we have some issues with because she went to two Taylor Swift. Anyway. So she's 5 years older than me, and she was just saying that, like, growing up, there was so much more stigma, right? And, like, the traditional values that you may say kept us from this behavior we're exhibiting now. And even 5 years after her, I'm like, oh, I didn't feel as much of that. But she just made the point that now that we're adults, we have buying power and we have voting power. So we get to be in charge now, and this is what we want. So
Yes, we love that. Thank you.
I think social media too is connecting
Yeah.
us to each other. Like you mentioned, the Eras Tour being like a long, drawn-out thing because it was like you gotta learn the codes, you gotta learn the chants. There was like a lot going on. Right? Told you I knew. And it's a way to like. I love the video format that's like, this one's just for the girls, and then they start doing makeup, and they're like, okay, now that the men are gone, and like it sort of goes on like that. We've never really had a space like that where we could communally connect in such a large scale. And I think I'm the same age as your sister, or thereabouts. And I already mentioned this, but like going into the wedding planning, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like betraying my 13-year-old self, who was like really growing up in this era where it was like, cool girls are the only girl in the room. And it's like all the cool girl stuff from like the Gone Girl monologue, if you know what I'm talking about there. It was like this very specific sort of like, basically be a man, but hot. And that was just the world we were growing up in. And you talked about Lilith Fair, kind of referenced it in the that podcast was talking about it. And like Lilith Fair was a punchline. In the 90s, it was like, a lot of homophobia going on. But to be like a woman who was into female music made by women for women, it was like, oh, that's embarrassing for you. Like it just has shifted, but it was very much. You had to keep it a secret, kind of like coming out as a Swiftie is so funny because it's almost like, okay, I'm a woman. Like,
I know.
Embracing it.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I almost wonder if we grew up like with all that messaging and are finally like realizing that was wrong, and we are fully like reversing it. We're like, that was so wrong. We're never doing that again.
And I think opening it up, like, yes, we're embracing like the girly girl, like we have these micro trends. Coquette, Sabrina Carpenter is like the champion of the bow. Gracie Abrams, whatever. But also like we're making all this space for like, I want to wear black. I want to watch horror. I want to like do my own thing. And we're like, great, welcome.
Yeah, and it's still sisterhood because there's so many things that we all go through as girls, like everything from talking about a bad haircut to like targeted ads.
Yes.
Because like I only get Nexplanon, the birth control that goes in my arm ad. Like that is the only YouTube ad I get. Which I'm like, there's more to me than that, right? Like, but I've talked to friends and they also only get that ad or this or that. So it's like you can come together still. And I think that's fun. You can like rely on someone. You have people in your circle to like talk things through with that guys probably don't care about or even know about. So that's kind of nice to have a space to talk to.
Right, and literally in a chat with Amanda and someone else about haircuts and
we've all been there.
Gotta share the trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I want to talk about representation happening in this space, just because both Barbie and Eras Tour are like skinny blonde women. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts and maybe some of the more like
some more like diversity that you appreciate in just girliness or womanhood and stuff. I don't know, Mary, do you have any thoughts?
I wish that I would have thought of this and like a million names would have come to my mind, but they didn't.
That's kind of hard.
And it's tough because I don't think Taylor Swift or Margot Robbie or any of them are like, everyone should be skinny or blonde.
No, absolutely not.
They just are blessed with that.
And it just happens it's just interesting that those are the people who happen to like.
Yeah,
be at the
exactly.
top.
And so I do think it is a coincidence, but one that I thought of, and we talked a little bit about Bridgerton, right? And I know I sent Amanda, or maybe you probably sent it to me, that interview with Nicola Coughlan, where they were like asking her about, you know, representing a woman with her body type, and she goes, "What, with perfect breasts?"
Yes.
And I was like, "You're my queen." So, because she just didn't even like buy into that line of questioning. And when I watched season 3 of Bridgerton, there was never a moment where I was like, oh, you're like a big husky girl. I was just like, you are the lead and you are killing it and your acting is amazing.
So hot, yeah.
And you two are such a cute couple. And like, so anyway, it was really cool to see her. And then back in the sports realm, like Ilona Maher, the rugby player, if anyone knows. So she's like having a huge moment. She's on Dancing with the Stars. And she's super cool. I would say that. I also want to talk about Simone Biles at some point, but
I was going to say.
she is, she's amazing. So, like, yeah, she's skinny because she's a gymnast, like, okay. But
Is she skinny or is she ripped?
She is
ripped.
she's
Have you seen her thighs?
Yeah, skinny is
Her body is pure muscle.
yes, not an ounce of fat on that girl, just all lean muscle. But she does not have a traditional journey.
No.
From being born until now, with her mental health, she like obviously had like a straight up mental breakdown and was sexually abused by her coach, like, and came back stronger and like
On the world stage. Nonetheless. Like,
so
that's hard enough in private, but now everyone can view you. That's hard.
But wasn't that so empowering? And like, it's funny because Simone Biles is not relatable. I mean, I cannot do anything Simone Biles can do, and yet I find her, you know, maybe a little bit more relatable than Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter, because we saw her struggle.
Yeah.
Well, we saw her struggle, but play out. But she's not your cut and dry.
We can kind of all relate to having a breakdown of some sorts of, or realizing like you can't do it all, and then we can also relate to hopefully being able to come back from it too. Like I love that we got to see that. Like we saw her just kind of like take a step back, and then she also came back, which is so.
And then still
cool.
dominated the world stage again.
Yeah.
Like she's still.
Yeah. So those are some of mine. Sorry, that was long. Who else?
That was great.
That was good.
Kayen.
Yeah, I wrote down a few names. One I was thinking of was obviously in Bridgerton. You had Queen Charlotte, who got her own story, which was really cool. As like
that is really cool.
Woman of color, and then also Lady Danbury in the same show, which is just a huge character, and everyone loves her. And she's also like this strong, independent black lady in the show, and no one cares because she's awesome. So that was cool. Quinta Brunson.
Oh yeah,
she's
Abbott
really
Elementary.
big. Abbott Elementary.
She's
ridden
perfect.
it. She's riding it. It's super cool.
Yeah.
They've got all the great tropes in there. Really fun show.
It's a great show.
It is.
Another one I thought of was Reservation Dogs, that I don't know if anyone watches. Super fun. I relate personally. And also, a lot of the episodes, it was created by a man, but a lot of the episodes have female influence both in writing and directing. So that's pretty cool. And you get that unique native perspective that you just don't get a lot of those kind of content, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was mostly what I was
That's
thinking
great.
of.
Thank you.
I don't have a big exhaustive list either, because I do think we have a lot of space to improve in this department. Bridgerton is a great example. With Shonda Rhimes at the helm, she was like, this is a story about 1 million white people, and we just simply cannot have that, which is great.
We do love her for
That should never happen again, probably. And Barbie, the film itself, like there was a lot of diversity represented
That's true.
across the Barbies.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah, I did.
They were not
that was
all
really
Margot
great.
Robbie.
Black President Barbie.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Kind of great.
Yeah.
So I think knowing that it's sort of like in the conversation and it's flowing around, people are making a more concerted effort. I think those people are being given more opportunities, but there's absolutely space to improve. However, I do think it's cool and important to like recognize that we are kind of sharing these universal experiences with one another, and it's easy to be like, maybe I don't look exactly like you, maybe I wasn't raised the exact same way, but like we're all experiencing sort of these repeated sort of tropes of girlhood that we're all like, oh, that happened to me too. That happened to you too, like over and over. So the representation is sort of like going like this. I think it's a little bit of an accordion of like, let's expand, but then let's also like come together and realize like we're kind of all living the same life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I wish I had a larger list, but I did want to acknowledge she is often like set as this whole black woman, but Beyonce had like a really
how have we not talked about Beyonce yet?
She had a really good
Shame on
Beyonce
us.
for the rest of the conversation. She had such a good tour year. Like her tour she had a stadium tour as well.
Yeah.
Was super successful.
Super successful.
And then came out with Cowboy Carter, and it's just like continuing
Tour de force
to kill it.
Yeah, that album.
And I
rocks.
feel like that album like really opened up her audience a lot too, which is so cool. And
She changed the lyrics to Jolene.
Yeah.
She was like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're giving the woman the power, which is like, you go, Beyonce. You go.
Thank you for this, Beyonce. Yeah, so I love her music. Okay, let's see here. All right. So how? Sorry, I'm trying to like compose myself. So this is
over Beyonce.
Yeah, just crying. Just thinking about Beyonce, I can't get past it. So can we like celebrate this and agree it's about like human togetherness, while also like, acknowledging we're women, and there can be like a potentially dark side to like with working with women sometimes, and like women can be mean. I don't know like if you guys have thoughts on that.
Right at me.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
She just
Women
wants you
can
to
be
talk
so
about
mean.
it.
Yeah, I just want to talk about it. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that, or like if we're just like happy to like celebrate it and we could stop there, like.
I mean, honestly, there's so much that you could say about this, but I have been watching the Secret Lives of Mormon Women.
Oh yes.
Oh dear.
Which
That's
is
also
a
another
reality
panel.
TV program. That's a whole like genre. But it's just really, it's always interesting whenever you get like girls in a group of people.
They're not good friends to each other.
You just kind of see like all of the different influences that have come together to create like somewhat of a toxic dynamic sometimes in girl groups who have like internalized some of the misogyny we've talked about from like the past, our childhoods, the way that this used to be discussed and talked about, this whole cool girl mentality, being the only girl, and all of a sudden you're one of 20 and you feel like you have to separate yourself, rise above, whatever. I think there's a competitiveness that is born out of like an unfair system, honestly. So I think that's where the dark side comes in, is where it's like, ooh, there's still like work to be done.
Well, and I think on that show particularly, you do see a lot of the toxic dynamic, like every episode, but you also you also see them supporting each other.
True.
And I also wanted to talk about that, and if you're talking about the reality TV world of like the Real Housewives series, Vanderpump, whatever, those are all women who are making that money. They're getting the bag. So like, okay, yeah, they're being dramatic and toxic, but they're also bringing home a ton of money to their families. And to see women, and you mentioned social media, like TikTok is a girl space. I mean, I'm not on there. I think it's a girl space.
I would say so.
But they're making a lot of money in that space. So
yeah, and they've decided to like perform womanhood in the expected way so that they can make a ton of money. Which is like, listen.
It's a smart move on their part.
Right. Maybe. You can't really fault them
Something
for it.
I love too about like this current day and age is that we're consuming media so differently too, versus like when we were teenagers. I feel like we saw that reality TV and maybe like believed it a little bit more too, where we held things to
real.
we held things to a really different standard, including like seeing women on magazines and stuff, and Photoshop. Like we didn't really know that was a thing, and now we're so aware, and we have so much information that tells us like that we can consume this and like appreciate it for what it is, and also know that it's like not necessarily all true, which I think is a big difference.
Media literacy is huge.
Yes, it is. Not to change topics too harshly, but can we talk about the men who complain about Taylor Swift being shown during football games? And those are maybe also the same people who think she's a witch.
We're not gonna
That's
skip,
like a thing.
We're not gonna skip to questions right yet, but I'll have you answer this one. Someone did just ask, what do you think about specifically you, what do you think about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship, bringing more women to watch sports?
So many thoughts. Okay, well, we will get to that. But I just love, I don't know if anyone read her Person of the Year article, because as she rightly should have been, she was Times Person of the Year, and she called out the Brads and Chads. And also, it's not her fault that they show her for 30 seconds.
It's not her fault.
But I would say that's kind of the darker side, is the people that are just slow to accept.
That makes sense.
Slow to accept it, kind of.
Yeah. Ew, a visible woman.
Yes, exactly. So.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Okay, so it's really, we love celebrating these things. We love dressing up.
is it enough? Like, is this enough for us? Like, what do we think? What do we want? What spaces do we want representation in more, like female representation and stuff? For instance, the Oscars this year was like, there were a lot of snubs for like women and stuff, specifically like obviously Barbie. Like we wanted things for Barbie, and it was like, oh, that was like a cute movie, but it's not film. Like, we don't appreciate
It didn't get taken seriously enough.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So actually, I wanted Amanda to talk about this first because she headed a little project.
Yes, she
I
did.
have a solution. We sort of introduced that we're all film people, and most of us are journalists who have like worked in the pop culture space. So the Oscars are like a really, really big deal for us. Maybe that's not your cup of tea, but when the nominations came out and Greta Gerwig was snubbed and Margot Robbie was snubbed, and they had given them that pitiful audience award at the Golden Globes, that was like
so
the people liked it, but the filmmakers thought it was crap. I was like, that's it, I'm making my own thing. So I went on the internet and I made the Ophelia Awards after the Oscars. I invited these folks here, among other of my filmmaker friends, to sort of participate by sharing their perspective on like why that sucked, that there was so much that just like didn't get attention in a year where there was not a bigger movie. What else came out last year? You guys even remember? So we went ahead and I made a whole ballot, and we all voted on Instagram, and it was just sort of like an open thing amongst like my following. And Barbie won Best Picture, Barbie won Best Director, Barbie won Best Screenplay. I'm scrolling. Barbie won Best Actor Supporting a Female Role. I made that category up.
I love it though. That's what it should be called.
Barbie won Production Design. It swept the Ophelias. The 20 people.
And it
voted,
swept the Oscars.
But it was just like an exercise in showing like what is the impact. Like, filmmaking is supposed to reflect the moment, right? It's supposed to be sort of like a mirror of the culture, and the fact that it got snubbed and then ignored. How is that the culture? Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, because women get snubbed and ignored. Rough message. So that's why we sort of like went off and did our own thing. Other things that we talked about from last year were Saltburn, which was very popular, obviously made by Emerald Fennell, who I love. Poor Things, we talked about a lot. That was a big one. And then Bottoms, which is the craziest freaking thing. If you
That
haven't
movie
seen
was
Bottoms,
wild. I didn't know what I was walking into. And
I don't think I still know what I walked out of.
yeah.
Same.
But it was fun. I'll give it that.
Oh my gosh,
A
so
lot
much
of
fun.
gore, a couple little gore scenes, I will say.
Definitely some surprise
You
violence in
horror.
that one. But yeah, we just kind of took the opportunity to be like, you know what, no, this isn't fair, and we're just gonna not continue to take this line down.
Yeah.
So I'll run it up the chain to the Oscars next year when we do a bigger one.
Yeah.
Perfect. I hope they really listen to you.
Or they should just let you run the Oscars, probably.
Ooh, a small job.
Who do we tell?
But what was fun about the Ophelia Awards too was it gave you a chance to recognize movies that everyone loved and women made, because that was what our parameters were for Ophelia. But there's a lot of films that like you kind of like take a step back, you're like, oh, that was made by a girl, or a female directed that, or this, and it just like brought more recognition, which I thought was fun, because like I mentioned Cocaine Bear, directed by a female. How fun is that? Like, just to make weird movies and stuff. And like Haunted Mansion, like the Disney classic. Like, that's just fun. And I don't remember what else we did, but I just thought that was cool to recognize maybe not so well-known movies as well. Or I guess just not mainstream movies,
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary, any thoughts?
What are my thoughts about?
Just like what else would you want to see? Like,
Oh, is it enough? No, it's
Yeah.
not enough. Never enough. I don't want to talk about politics because we're not going to do that. But we're seeing women get into the politics space as well. And for me to see that encroach, all of this culture encroach into it's the voting power and the buying power, to have our views be represented by the people who are supposed to represent us would be fabulous. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree that it's not
It's not enough, and yeah, I want to see women in a lot more leadership in places, and also just making stuff that's for us. We like, it's so fun to like have movies
to like Barbie and like have things like the Eras Tour. It's great that they're realizing that we have buying power, and I hope that eventually it can also be realized that like that is just as important, like in these like prestigious spaces or whatever, with leadership, with politics, with
the Oscars.
The Oscars, exactly. Like I really hope that eventually this is going to get us to a place where people start realizing like, okay, women's media is just as important and just as valuable and smart. Like it's not stupid and it's not frilly. Like it's so good. Like Barbie was a smart movie too. It wasn't just like a dumb like.
No,
like,
America
really good,
Ferrera's
so.
speech.
Yeah.
When has that ever been said?
Yeah. So, okay. So what do we want to see next? Is there anything you guys want to see coming up, like that's gonna be like female led or, yeah?
Everything that I have in the hopper. Hello, Amanda Taylor. Give me the opportunities. I think that's what's encouraging for people like us and like you guys. You know, we're all creative people. We all have a perspective, and being able to see these people at like the top level getting some attention, if not the Oscar they deserve, is huge. I mean, that's why this representation matters, is because it gives us the permission to be like, yes, our perspectives are important, and the stories that we have to share are important, and we need to give them to people. If you guys have stories to share, I want to hear them.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that what's next is new voices, more voices. Not one woman in the room, not one woman at the Lilith Fair, 500, 2,000, I don't know. I just want it to be like this exponential thing where it's like, there's so many women everywhere now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I guess going along with that, it's so fun, like I mentioned, to see women break out of like normal roles, quote unquote, and make weird movies, as my whole spiel has been. But First Omen that came out this year, I don't know if anyone saw it. It was just so fun from a female perspective because it had some of the creepiest body horror I think I've seen in a hot minute. It was truly disturbing, but I think it because it came from that female perspective, because it was all about giving birth to the devil. So take what you will from that. But then it also had a new look on possession, which like normally everyone's screaming and you have the demonic voice, and this one didn't. So it was like you get fresh takes when you get different perspectives like you do with women creators, which I think is really fun. And then if we're talking about what we want to see, let's go back to micro trends in the female gaze. I want more rom-coms. Yeah. And I want
good rom-coms.
Full body chills.
Yeah. Yes. Because like, you know, I'll go back to, I love a good rom-com, and I see online all the time of like, there's some really cute actors out there. Let's get Glenn Powell in there. Let's bring Logan Lerman back.
Take my money.
You know, like, we love Bill Skarsgård as a horror. Would be great in a rom-com. Not gonna lie. Like, there's so many actors.
I just saw a fan cast of like a IRL Tim Burton's The Corpse Bride where he played. I was like, do it today.
Yes. Watch immediately. We'll buy my tickets right now.
It was really good.
Yeah, so it's like, as much as we want to have fun and create, maybe we want to self-indulge a little bit. Give us that female gaze movie.
I think I'm honestly
and more about the female gaze too.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What we haven't talked about is My Lady Jane, and that show is run by a woman, Gemma Burgess, and should not have been canceled. I'm very upset. And that entire show takes place from the female gaze. And it is so good for it. It's so funny, and it's so safe. It's just safe from that female gaze. Like, you don't have to have, you know, your jump scares. It's just like good the whole time. So more from the female gaze, to have that become more of the rule instead of the exception, I would say is what I would want to see.
That's a good way of putting
awesome.
it. I agree with everything that's been said. I want to see more women behind the scenes, and
yes, I was going to mention the tech side.
Really
Let's get more nominations.
That's still like so small in the female space, so let's get that bigger. And I always want to see more queer female stuff too. So
yeah,
always. Okay, we have like a time very quick for questions. This is a really good one. What inspires you to initiate building community even without these inciting incidents of concerts or premieres?
Can I go?
Yeah. Try and be like succinct.
Okay. For one of the first times in my adult life since becoming a mom, I have a really, really good female friend. And because of that, we throw parties. We just threw a party last week, our TJs and PJs, Trader Joe's and pajamas. It was so
That's
cute.
fun.
And it's just having a friend like that, like, gives you what you need, gives you your bathroom buddy, that space where you can plan stuff like that, because you're not going to do it by yourself.
It's hard to do on your
So
own.
get yourself a girlfriend. That's what I'm saying. That lives close to you if you can.
Love that. Love that. Kayen, do you have any answers?
Yeah, I guess it's just fun to, like you said, have someone like, did I run over to my friend's house yesterday to steam my bridesmaid's dress for a wedding in like 2 hours after that? Yes.
You've
like,
got to have someone where
you've
you
got to
can do
have
that.
your buddies, your craft buddies, your game buddies. It's just fun. I think everyone wants an escape from life a little bit and to not let life pass you by, so to have people to do events and dumb things with, that's super important.
Yeah.
I think what we've kind of all been talking about here is womanhood, girlhood is a little bit difficult. And so what you're saying is like sort of sharing the load a little bit, right? Like having people to sort of lift you up is really useful. And people who recognize and understand like the perspective that you have and where you're coming from a little bit. I love this question though, because I think it's really important for all of us to just look into ourselves and say, what can we do? How can we help? Can we reach out to a friend, whatever, just because I think this moment of female community is like so important. And this is a small enough group that I can say, I believe in all of you. That like this is something that is a priority. And I think that's where it comes from. It's just people who are able to champion it in the first place, and then sort of like it spreads like a wildfire, right?
Yeah.
It's something we're all looking for. And so the first person to raise a hand and say like, I'm creating a space, please join us, is like, you get inundated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be overwhelmed. It's so good.
That's perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you everybody for coming to this panel. We had so much fun. We do have a lot of friendship bracelets to trade afterwards. Also, we actually made a rom-com that's a Halloween rom-com.
It's really cute.
So if you guys want to watch it, we have like stickers with a little QR code on it too that you can watch that and come get a sticker. So yeah, come talk to us afterwards. But we got to wrap it up. So thank you so much, and yeah, have fun at the con.